Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am doing my October TBR. It's a little ambitious. It is comprised predominantly of YA fantasy because that's just kind of what I want to read right now. That and nonfiction, which is a very odd pairing, but beyond that, it's probably a little ambitious and there are books that are coming out that I also want to read, but I would like to reread some of the series. So we're not going to include those because I've mentioned them and because I don't actually know if they're going to happen in October, but these are the ones that I decided to include because I just really want to get to them because I don't know what's going on in my brain, but that seems like something somewhat logical, so let's go. First book is The Trials of Apollo, Book 4, The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan. This obviously is the fourth one in the Apollo series. I will not reread these books to get to this one, mostly because I remember enough of it, but I am excited to see where we get to in this one. I'm a little bit nervous because something drastic happened to one of the characters in the last book and that made me nervous, and I don't know where we're going in this one, and bad Roman emperors, it's a whole mess, and I'm scared, but I'm also super excited. So getting to this one in October. Next is Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly, which is a Cinderella retelling based on sort of the Grimm's fairy tales version of Cinderella, and not sort of, it is based on that. Because our main character is the stepsister who cut off her toes to fit her foot into the slipper. And we follow her after the prince sees the blood seeping out, and now nobody wants her, and she's evil and mean and slightly deformed because she cut off her toes, and what happens from there. I'm intrigued. I like some of Jennifer Donnelly's works. I really like her Deep Blue series. I believe she's the same author who wrote A Northern Light, and I hated that book. So, kind of a toss-up. But I really do like fairy tale retellings, and since I like some of her fantasy work, Northern Light was not fantasy, it was historical fiction or something, and I just, the ending. Anyway, so I'm excited to read this and see how it turns out. So we have Courting Darkness by Robin Lefevre. This is the start of a new series in the same world as her Grave Mercy series. Loved her Grave Mercy series. It's about a group of women who are blessed by the god of death, and they live in essentially a nunnery, but they become assassins. And like I said, this takes place in the same world. So I've been wanting to read this for about 2 months now and just haven't gotten around to it because, as you guys know, my TBRs have not been going well for me. And just wait for my September wrap-up because that one didn't go well either. But not the point. I will be hopefully reading this one in October as well, and being a little bit on the dark side, it should fit the October darker spooky vibe. Just for fun. Then we have The Cursed Sea by Lauren DeStefano. I'm 98% sure I read the first one, The Glass Spare, because I remember somebody being able to turn people into gemstones. 98% sure, but there's just the one specific moment that I really remember from that book, and I'm confusing it with another one, which does not help me. So I have to go back and check my Goodreads, but I'm 98% sure. If I did not read that, then I will go back and read The Glass Spare and then read The Cursed Sea, since this is the sequel. But if I have already read that, which again, I'm fairly certain I have, I will just jump into The Cursed Sea. Our main character finds out that she can turn people into gemstones with a touch of her hand. Basically, it's the Midas touch except gemstones. And this one takes place, I believe at the end of the first one, she's going somewhere by sea, and that's obviously how we get the ship on this cover. Beyond that, I don't really remember, and that's not a spoiler because I don't remember. But yeah, so we're gonna see how this one goes. I'm curious. It's been out a while, so I think I should maybe get to it. Then a book that I've just been thinking about for a while, it sort of came to mind, and that is Finishing Becca by Anne Rinaldi. This is honestly one of my favorite books that I own of Anne Rinaldi. She is an incredibly prolific author, one of my favorites, and writes predominantly YA historical fiction. This takes place during the Revolution in 1778 Philadelphia. Becca, our main character, becomes a maid to Peggy Shippen. Yes, that Peggy Shippen, the one who married Benedict Arnold and may or may not have turned him traitor. That is not for me to decide. I have mixed feelings. Anyway, we follow her through basically the entirety of Peggy and Arnold's relationship and how they get there and what Becca sees and what Becca thinks about all this and her sort of coming into her own. I think it's a really fascinating look at Peggy Shippen and Benedict Arnold's relationship, because usually you see it from the point of view of Peggy Shippen. Fair enough, she's an interesting woman and we know a lot about her, but I really enjoy looking at it from a different perspective, and I just really enjoyed this book and it's stuck with me all these years. So now that I finally have it in my greedy little hands again, I can read it. Then we have Vesuvius by Owen Scarth. This one was on my July TBR, and like I said, TBRs and I aren't going well this year, but I'm gonna try it again. This is a nonfiction about Vesuvius from the earliest we know about it to, I believe, the 1940s or now, but as recent as it has erupted. I am incredibly curious about this. I know Abby from Autumn of Pelennor did her thesis on Vesuvius, and that's sort of how I found out that Vesuvius was more than just Pompeii, and I went and found this and I've been fascinated with learning more. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, so hopefully in October I will finally get to this. And then lastly we have a library book which I have to renew this week, and that is The Rose of Martinique by Andreas Stewart. This is a life of Josephine, Napoleon's wife. First wife? I think first wife. He had two. Not the point. I basically don't know anything about her. The title itself told me more than I knew about her. I didn't know she was from Martinique, but apparently she's from the Caribbean, guys. Go figure. It's not necessarily exactly my time period that I enjoy, but it is a time period that I'm curious about, and I'm always down for learning something about new, whether that be 1963 or 63 years BC. I don't care, just give me the book. So I'm curious to learn about this woman and a little bit about Napoleon, obviously, through that as well. Maybe a little ambitious, but we'll see. There are also several books that I'm currently reading that I may finish before tomorrow, or may finish tonight and tomorrow, since tomorrow is Monday and that's the 30th. We'll see. If I don't finish them, then I'll just tell you that I finished them in October when I do that wrap up at the end of next month. But otherwise, there's a couple that I'm in the middle of, and we'll see where that goes. That's all I got. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!